Hello, hi, welcome. The show's name is Politics. Although I call it Politrix, my name is Presh, and title of this episode is Israel attacks Lebanon. And just to do some cleanup from last week, I just want to add to our story about the two-pot system. So this news was available last week, but I just forgot to write it down, and by extension, I forgot to speak about it. So, like I said last week, I feel as if the new law is encouraging people to withdraw their retirement early, and that's exactly what's happening. And a number of those cases, people are finding out that they are unable to withdraw their money because the companies that they work for have not been contributing to their pension funds. So the article I read said that, quote, the companies fell behind on payment, end quote, which shows how derangedly right wing this country is, just in terms of the words we use to describe it when, like, a company does something wrong versus like a worker did something wrong. The quote, the companies fell behind on payment, right? The correct word is obviously fraud. FRAUD, fraud, right? And I hope that the authorities are going after the companies who did this, because even though I said last week that you should not touch your retirement savings under any conditions, these people that are touching their retirement savings, it's their money. They deserve to, make use of that money. So, uh, yeah, I hope that justice is carried out in this situation. And yeah, there's nothing really to say about it. But yeah, like, especially my brother, people like to say that, oh, the government is corrupt. But, private corporations, they're not corrupt. They're, scot-free, blah, 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 blah. And I'm not saying all of them are, but, it's it's I'd like to show more people this so that they understand that it's not just government that's corrupt, private corporations are corrupt. It's the issue is corruption, not where the corruption is happening. So, yeah. Anyway, the actual news for this week. Additional explosions, reportedly involving thousands of walkie-talkies, went off in Lebanon on Wednesday, a day after hundreds of pages exploded simultaneously in Lebanon and Syria in an attack that apparently targeted members of Hezbollah, the Iranian-backed Islamist military organization and Lebanese political party. Hezbollah has vowed to retaliate. The Lebanese government has characterized the pager attack as, quote, criminal Israeli aggression, end quote. It comes amid rising tensions between Hezbollah and Israel as the war in Gaza rages on without any end in sight. CNN reported that at least 20 people were killed and 450 people were injured in the latest round of attacks involving walkie-talkies. At least 12 people were killed in the pager attack, including members of Hezbollah and 2 children, according to CNN. More than 2,800 were injured, including the Iranian ambassador to Lebanon, with over 300 people in critical condition, according to the Lebanese health ministry. Right. So, to recap, there was a pager attack on Tuesday where a number of people there. Okay, first of all, I didn't realize people still used pages in the year 2024. Like, who's manufacturing pages, first of all? But whatever the case is, they have these pages and they blew up. To our younger listeners, I don't even know if they know what pages are. They're like these little devices that instead of sending you a message, they send you a code. And then you have like a book on the other end that tells you what that code means. So I'll send like the number 403, and then you look up what does 403 means. Oh, it means that there's a criminal in the house. Look out, behind you. And, that's how pages used to work. But, yeah, pages were also past my time as well. I'm familiar with them just from pop culture. I don't know if, Like somebody my brother's age would know what a pager is. Anyway, yeah. Uh, so yeah, and the walkie-talkie attack on Wednesday. In both cases, children were killed. After the fact, the Israeli military said that this was a targeted attack and that they knew exactly who they were killing. So either they intentionally killed children or they indiscriminately blew up explosives without knowing who it would kill. In either case, the correct way to describe this is terrorism, right? If you aren't familiar with the issue, you may be wondering who Hezbollah is. We've been hearing that the Israelis are against Hamas in Palestine, so why are they suddenly attacking Lebanon, right? Now, this is a separate story from the pager and walkie-talkie attacks last week, although, they encompass the same story. I'm trying to make you understand that these were three separate incidences, right? So the pages were last week Tuesday, the walkie-talkies last week Wednesday, and this week Monday. I'm recording this on Tuesday, so yesterday, more than 450 people were killed and 1,500 injured in Israeli airstrikes targeting southern and eastern Lebanon, as well as the country's capital Beirut on Monday. The airstrikes mark a significant and threatening escalation of hostilities following an apparent Israeli attack that used explosive pages and other electronic devices to kill members of the Shia militant and political group Hezbollah, which is based in Lebanon. Israel and Hezbollah have regularly traded rocket fire over Lebanon's southern border with Israel for years. However, since Israel launched its war in Gaza in retaliation for Hamas's attack in Israel on October 7, Hezbollah, a Hamas ally, has increased the tempo of rocket launches and has hit targets deeper within Israel. Israel has increased its attack as well, and as a result, more than 110,000 Lebanese and more than 60,000 Israelis are internally displaced. Right? So there you have it. Hezbollah in Lebanon are allies with Hamas in Palestine. But as I'm reading about this, I keep seeing people worried about these attacks escalating into a war. Right? Now don't get me wrong. War is a horrific thing. But war implies two armies fighting each other. What's been happening over the past year or so has been a genocide, and people being indiscriminately exterminated is, to me, a far bigger issue and a far bigger tragedy than war, right? Once again, this is why I don't really like to talk about this issue, because it just makes me feel upset. It makes me feel helpless. There's some people who are like, you can't look away. Looking away is worse, because that's how people get away with it, when people turn a blind eye to it. But it really, it fucks me up too much, bro. I can't go about my day after seeing, these videos of children being murdered, and yeah. So, I wanted to speak about it because I think it's important that we know about it, but Jesus, it's so hectic to me, bro. Anyway, for our next story, the South African Reserve Bank has announced a decrease in the repo rate from 8.25% to 8%. We've spoken about this many times, but essentially if you take out a loan from the bank, the amount you pay every month gets lower if the repo rate gets lower, and vice versa. The reason you raise the repo rate is to fight inflation, and recently inflation has cooled to a reasonable level. Now, once again, I need to stress that I don't know anything about finance, so yeah. In my opinion, the repo rate should have never been so high in the first place. If you're a long-time listener, you'll remember the time the US ambassador to South Africa, his name is Ruben Brigitte. Please remember that name, that son of a bitch. If I ever catch that guy lacking, I'll beat his ass. Right, jot that down in your diary. That's a fact. I'll do it if I ever see him. Right? He lied. and said that we sold weapons to Russia, and somehow that caused our inflation to rise. So every time I bring up the story, like I say, I don't understand how this motherfucker lying caused our inflation to rise, but somehow it did, right? And then to fight that inflation, the Reserve Bank raised the repo rate to combat it, right? I feel as if the Reserve Bank should have recognized that this was an artificial inflation rise and it didn't require a repo rate hike to combat it. And that was my feeling for many months. And then, like a month ago, I read an article in the finance section of the Times that was arguing the exact same thing. And I'm like, hell yes, I'm a bloody finance man. I know all about finance, you know. Fuck the people who say I don't know finance. I know everything about finance. Anyway, so yeah, in short, it's welcome that the repo rate has decreased, but it was artificially high in the first place. So, you know, can't they do us a bloody favor and drop it even more? That's me speaking as a non-finance person now. You know, we've already established how financy I am, but I'm just playing the devil's advocate as a non-finance person now. Anyway, yeah, so that's also good news for me. My the bond on my house goes down. I'm not paying for my car, so I have no what's the word? I have no payment there, so it won't go up or down. Right. Anyway, so this news story happened a week ago, but Donald Trump was the victim of an apparent second assassination attempt. Quote, a gunman was first seen by Secret Service agents who were sweeping the course. Agents usually go one hole ahead to perform security checks, according to police. The muzzle of a rifle was spotted sticking through the shrubbery that lines the course. At the time, Trump was about 300 to 500 yards away from the spot. An agent, quote, immediately engaged, end quote, with a person holding the rifle who fled. So, first of all, this made me think of Elmer Fudd and Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny is playing golf and Elmer Fudd is just, he set up his big rifle there waiting for him to come. And, as per usual, Bugs Bunny is one step ahead. In this case, it's Donald Trump's Secret Service agents. But yeah. The bigger thing here, I think, is how quickly people have moved on. This is the exact same thing that happened after the first assassination attempt. People were just kind of like, oh, alright. Anyway, and just moved on. I even have this as my number 3 story this week, behind the fucking repo rate. So, yeah. That being said, what else can you say? You hear that he was almost assassinated, you go, oh shit, that's crazy. And then you move on with your day. It's not like you have any power to dictate what happens, or, really do anything. But I do think it's a shame that they're trying to kill my favorite president. What has he done except be cool and funny and awesome? Anyway, thank you for listening. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe, give a like, etc. Importantly, needs to be a 5-star review. I'm only accepting 5 stars, so if you're thinking, it feels like a 3-star episode, fuck you. Don't do anything. Just take your finger away from the rating button. Only 5 stars is available, right? You can find all our links at PAICIP.com. That's PAICIP.com. Please tell a friend. Tell that friend to tell a friend. Tell a family member. And, yeah, goodbye.